Guys, a while back, we talked about a little CW machine called the DMX-40 by Preppcom, and we're going to talk about the DMX-40 again. Now that I've got Studio B up and running, I did some more testing, got into this thing a little bit more, and it's time to talk about it again, this time on K6UDA Radio. Another video on the DMX-40, but this time I'm using Studio B as my laboratory. Man, I'll tell you what, having Studio B here makes all the difference in the world. The last time we looked at the DMX-40, I hooked this thing up to the 7300 right behind me here in Studio A and did some decoding and tried to make a few CW contacts using the keyboard mode. But I didn't get into the whole thing. I didn't get into the ins and outs of the radio and do a full review, I think. So I think I owe it to myself and I owe it to you guys to do more of a review, get into this thing a little bit more, because if you're like me, I know there's a lot of guys and gals that said that they were interested in CW but just hadn't mastered it, just like me. But before we get into this, I want to ask you guys, if you haven't already hit the subscribe button, do it right now. Pause the video, hit subscribe, doesn't cost anything. Also, hit the bell notification right next to it. And if you really want to help me out, please help me out. Leave a comment, any kind of a comment on this video or any one of my other videos. And share this video wherever you can on your social media. And if you see fit and you think these videos are maybe worth a buck, consider contributing to the cause. Oh yeah. You know, behind me is, I call it my wall of fame. Patch collection. All the patches there belong to cops that are also hams. And this week, I want to thank a few guys. First of all, Mike, KK7FXI, who brought this over personally on field day. Bunch of brand new guys. Some of these guys have never been on the radio before, and they're just killing it. That guy there doesn't even have a license. Came here as a brand new tech and operated all day. Mike, congratulations. He is now a general here in the great state of Idaho. But anyway, Mike, thanks for that. And that is the first one to go into Studio B. And you guys may know that, you know, I've also got some challenge coins up here that I've been collecting for ever and a day. A friend of mine from the old country, Ken, who was a Marine Corps guard at the embassy in Vietnam before Vietnam fell to the North Vietnamese. Anyway, he recently came into this challenge coin and passed it on to me so I could share it with all you guys in Studio B. Thank you, Ken. I got to read part of this. So, Bob, greetings from back in W6EK land. Saw your recent video with your challenge coin collection. Thought I'd add one to it. This is from the Marine Security Guard Detachment, American Embassy, Hanoi, Vietnam. I was there in May and had dinner with the Marines. While there, this is the coin they gave me. I'm not much a collector of things And that doesn't apply to ham radio gear, but I digress. So I thought it would be something that you and your visitors might enjoy. All the best. Semper Fi, Ken, NB6S. Ken, thank you so much, and thank you for your service, my friend. And I've got one more thing to share that came for Studio B. This showed up. This showed up in Studio B not too long ago. It'll find a nice home inside of Studio B. Thank you, whoever set me up with that. Very, very cool. So now, guys, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the DMX-40 out in Studio B. We'll get a better look at it. Let's go. And welcome back out to Studio B, my friends. Today, it's the DMX-40 on the workbench. Got a few other projects here. Hey, got a new radio to do a review with. Anyway, Mr. Helmet's got a place. Challenge coins are in place. And I have a fresh stack of international and local law enforcement. All kinds of cool stuff coming at you. Guys, 40 meters is literally dead right now. I'm going through the band here. Guys, you gotta trust me. Some days there just ain't any signals that you're gonna find. Anyway, this is the DMX-40, and one button on there, power supply, antenna, and headphones on the top. On the side of the case, you've got your key in and out, your audio in, and a USB keyboard. So guys, one of the big things that Preppcom was saying on their website and everything was you got to use this keyboard. Eric had found that this was one of the few keyboards that wouldn't screw up. Well, I had my foldable keyboard here packed away in one of the boxes. I found that this thing works like a charm with the DMX-40. So for me, I'm going to use this one. I'm going to leave a link in the description below where I got it. It was a Amazon find. Preppcom makes some high quality cables that they sell alongside the DMX or the MMX radios, and I made up a little power plug here that goes from power poles to that little jack. Now, something that I consider a must-have is this little dummy load, 5-watt dummy load, and along with that is a strain relief, SMA to SO239 to fit into a regular antenna. Now, I think I might have covered this in the last video, but hey, we'll go through it really quick. When you first turn on the DMX-40, you could set up your local station. The first one is your call sign, your name, your location, and the type of rig and antenna that you're using. And that's all pretty standard. Oh, and you want to put in your license class. Then you can go in and they have help files. Very handy little help files for receive and transmit. You can go through and it just kind of gives you the basic syntax that you can use. Okay, the next one is a Vfo calibration. I didn't do anything, I just left it alone. You could type this little sentence here to calculate your general typing speed, and that might help you out. I didn't really use it. So the last two things you could screw around with here are macros and frequency memories. And I'm not going to really go into those. So when doing it externally with another radio, you're going to use the RIT in CW mode, or you're going to use upper sideband. So today we're going to use the DMX-40 as a full QRP transceiver. And I'm going to speed this up so you don't have to have the pain. But anyway, this will call CQ several times. It'll keep calling CQ, CQ with your call sign that you entered until you go back in and you're going to press the call button once again, and then that's going to be the last time that it calls CQ, and it'll terminate with a K, and you can listen. Now on the other side of this, I'm using the K3 and the decoder on the K3 to listen to the DMX-40. And it does a pretty good job of translating, but it doesn't get everything completely right. Point for the DMX-40. Now this was a QSO that I decoded the other day when there was plenty of CW signals on 40 meters.
This is a total rag chew session.
The DMX-40 did so much better than the K3 did at decoding. It wasn't even a contest. All right, guys, bringing it all back in. What is my final thought? Here's the review part of the DMX-40. It does some things incredibly well. It is a great Morse code decoder. Now, very recently, within, I would say, the last month or so, Preppcom has started offering a few more radios to the lineup of the DMX-40. I've got the original DMX-40. Let's go in here. They have the MMX multi-band Morse code that can get you up to, I think, 3 or 4 different bands that you can operate on the transceiver. They have the MMX-0, which has everything except the transceiver built in. So if all you run is external and you hook it up to, say, your 7300 all the time, that's all you need. You don't need the transceiver, so why pay for the transceiver? All right, now, yes, I can hook up a CW key to this in the key jack, and I've got my key plugged in here. As I'm doing the key here, you could see the decoding light. So you can use this thing as encoding practice. So if you want to use it as a practice key, gives you immediate feedback or almost immediate feedback. Right now, I can't hear it. And there's a reason I can't hear it, because there's no built-in speaker in the DMX-40, the MMX, or the MMX-0. So if I want to listen, I either have to have some headphones on, or I have to use an external speaker. And I have had this this Goal Zero speaker for years. I mean, I've used this on my KX3. I've used it on the 7300. I've used it for music on an iPod. That's what I originally did. And honestly, if I plug this in and just plug it in here, you'll now be able to hear this. What I'm super excited about this, what really works, is the fact that I can use it as a 40 meter QRP radio, and I just plug it into an antenna and it works. Very good. I won't say it's the best receiver in the world. It doesn't have to be. My K3 is a much better receiver than this, but with a fairly strong signal, it doesn't matter. It's CW. You could see there's the keyhole there. If I plug this all the way in, where you would normally do that, you're not going to. You could see that key light is lit, just lit. And now it's unlit. There it goes. Now it's working. But it's touchy. So yeah, I would really like for that tip ring sleeve thing to all made up. It is what it is. Do I wish that it could interface in a better way? Yeah, I do. When you go into the external mode, it's kind of a pain in the ass. It's got to be a 1300 hertz signal in order for the DMX-40 to understand it and be able to decode it, which means if I'm using it in the external mode on, say, my 7300, or I want to use it on the K3, what I've got to do is I set a 650 hertz tone on the radio, and then I turn the RIT up to 0.65, or add 650 hertz basically to the RIT on the signal that I want to use, so I'm talking and listening on the right frequencies. Guys, when you're using this thing as a QRP radio, it is so straightforward, you don't even notice it. You just tune to the frequency you want to operate, and you decode, and you type in your message, or you key it in if you want to use your keyer, and it just works. So now we get down to the brass tacks, the big button. Is the DMX-40, the MMX multi-band radios, are these worth the investment? And I got to say, if you have little more than a passing interest in CW, or you're proficient in CW already, but it's not high on your priority list, I am going to say this is probably a hard pass for you. These are not cheap radios. The MMX is a $500 radio. The DMX-40, which it says out of stock on the website now, is a, I believe, $400 radio, and $350 for the MMX-0. If you already have a DMX-40 and you want to upgrade it to an MMX, that's $149. I would say that is a great deal to expand the capabilities of your 40-meter radio into, say, a 40 and 80, or a 40, 80, and 20-meter radio. I would say $149. Hell yeah, do that. Now, is this radio a good deal, or is it worth it for somebody like me who has a great interest in operating CW, but I have some kind of a mental block, whatever, a physical handicap, a mental block, and I just don't seem to get CW, but I have the interest in operating? Absolutely. This thing rocks. And for the guys that want to lug this thing up the side of a mountain, or take it out to a POTA or field day or something, I think this is a great radio. It does two things. Number one, it allows you to operate in, say, either a noisy or an adverse environment where maybe hearing isn't the best thing for you, or the best thing to do. say you want to keep your situational awareness, and it's easier just to see a typed word or a typed message on the screen, and easier to use it on the keyboard and get the message out. Fantastic. Making a lot of QSOs very quickly, being able to kind of go back and look at what's happened, be able to read back what somebody just said a couple of sentences ago. Fantastic. Likewise, for a club, if you're doing an educational thing, field day, and you want to show non-CW people exactly what the other side is saying and what you're saying, I think the DMX or the MMX radios, great investment for something like that to turn on new people in the hobby and get them excited about another mode. All right, guys, that's it. That's all from me. I'll catch you next time. I'm Bob, K6UDA, and I'm out of here, 7-3.